Hello and welcome to yet another commentary video here on this pokey little YouTube channel of mine. And my commentary this go round is inspired by the Twitch streamer CrystAAHHL in regards to a video that they posted on one of their YouTube channels in which they asked the question, is Goro Akechi in Persona 5 Royale redeemable? And I find myself considering everything because the answer is yes and no, with a third factor to consider in there beyond the obvious. The first, let's talk about the no's. Why is Goro Akechi not redeemable? One, he is essentially a psychopath. He is a murderer. He is willing to manipulate, blackmail. He's willing to do anything and everything to achieve his goals, which is to essentially put his father into a position where he would achieve great political power, and then on the eve, at the very moment that his father is within fingertips of being able to achieve his greatest ambitions, Akechi would strike him down, ruin him at that very moment, either through killing him or making sure he goes to jail, basically turning Shido into a pariah or a corpse one way or another. Again, have to factor in Akechi's willingness to kill. So again, that's a strong cases on the no side. However, on the yes side of the coin, well, one has to consider that Akechi was essentially screwed over since conception, not just from birth, considering that his father impregnated his mother and basically wasn't there for her. Akechi's mother died, so he grows up an orphan. He finds out who his father is, so he's got this gradual resentment. Akechi unlocks his persona abilities. He's a bit of a wild card because he, like Joker, he can use multiple personas, and Akechi's case, he can use two. And he is doing everything. You have all those conversations that Akechi has with Joker, and he expresses himself that he wishes for some things to have been different in his life, but and then you get everything builds up to where Akechi is killed by the cognitive version of himself that his father has in his head of what Akechi is, just nothing more than a tool. Akechi is dead in the eighth palace, and then on after the Phantom Thieves defeat the Holy Grail God, Akechi appears, questioning how is he alive, or at least that's the question Joker would ask. And Akechi is willing to take the fall. It says like he's going to turn himself in, confess everything. And yes, so there's the case for yes, Akechi is redeemable because he is willing to take the fall. But then one has to consider what I just said, that Akechi was killed. And the question is, how is he alive again? Well, that is thanks to Maruki's cognitive manipulation of the world, again, following the Phantom Thieves' defeat of the Holy Grail God. So you got no, that Akechi is not redeemable based on what he's willing to do to accomplish his goals, and you have yes based on things that he has said and what he does, but under a unique situation where he is already dead, but he's alive again thanks to outside factors. So now one has to, so there's the yes, no, and now here's the tipping point. And what the real question ends up being is, does Akechi want to be redeemed? Well, if one looks at what Akechi says and his attitude and tone and basically reaction to everything that's happening in the January portion of Persona 5 Royale, that answer becomes like he does not want to be redeemed at all. As a matter of fact, right before Joker makes the decision of either to to confront Maruki and defeat him, or accept Maruki's a false reality and live in a world where everything is happy-go-lucky, everyone gets what they want, there's no pain, there's no suffering, and everyone's just an all-around good person. Akechi basically makes this case that he does not want to be redeemed at all, and that he does not want to live in a world where he is essentially not who he was and what he was at the very end when he was killed in the 8th palace, in Shido's palace, rather. So Akechi himself states to Joker, aka the player, that he does not want to be redeemed. He wants to go out fighting one way or another. Now, if you tell Akechi that you are going to accept Maruki's offer, Akechi is straight up pissed and goes to try and does it himself and does not succeed and becomes essentially a neutered version of himself, as seen in the end cutscene if you choose that path. Now, then there's also the factor of if you go ahead and defeat Maruki and so forth. There is a question, though, of that version of Akechi, that one that was supposed to have died but is brought back to life, and he escapes with the Phantom Thieves after Maruki is defeated. And then the cutscene that occurs when Joker is leaving, he's already on the train, getting ready to go home, and where he catches a glimpse of what he thinks is Akechi walking by on like the train platform with 2 other suits. We don't see Akechi's face, but again, taking into numerous factors of like if Akechi is on his getting a chance to be redeemed on his own terms. And the question, so if it's going to be on his own terms, the answer tips back to yes. But in general, it's not a really question to answer because it's yes and no based on what you see in Persona 5, and then it becomes down to a question of what he wants, what Akechi wants to do based on the facts of the situation and the Royale content of essentially the January portion of the game, of the extra content that was not in the original base game. So it is not a simple yes/no question. There is as I broke down here in this short commentary, there's a lot of things to consider. On the Maruki situation, Akechi does not want to be redeemed, but if it was going to be on his own terms, maybe. That is my thoughts on that. It has to be on Akechi's own terms if he wants to be redeemed or not someone else's. So, yep, there's my final answer, Regis. If there's great closing out with a dated Who Wants to Be a Millionaire reference. Oh well. If you have your thoughts on if Akechi is redeemable or not, or wants to simply call me an idiot, leave it in the comment section below. I would say like, comment, and subscribe, but no one actually does that, so I don't get why people just go ahead and do it because YouTube tells them to. Anyway, see you nightly over on my Twitch channel. That link is as always in the description below. Talk to you next time. Bye.